and welcome to the Homemade Podcast Sports. This is your host, Jay Pops.
Welcome back to the Homemade Podcast of Sports with the host, Jay Pops. Guys, today's date is May 19th, 2021. It is a rainy Wednesday out here in the great city of Houston, Texas. It has been raining, and it's going to stay like this for at least until next week. And then I'm looking at next week, and it's supposed to rain all next week as well. So if anybody out there that has stuff planned, stuff like that, I'm not going to say let the rain stop you, because we all just do not know what Mother Nature is going to do each and every day. But I will just say this: be prepared, be alarmed, and stuff like that. Also, man, an update and some breaking news out there. Pretty sure for the ones that's already at Texas A&M and stuff like that. But Governor Greg Abbott has opened up each and every sports venue in Texas, I believe, to go full throttle come September. And August, of course, to be open 100%. The guys that are all fully vaccinated, including myself, I'm halfway vaccinated, but I will be fully at the end of, at the middle of next month. I will be fully vaccinated. You guys, it will be either your choice to wear a mask or to not wear a mask, okay? If you guys feel safer with a mask, by all means do so. Nobody's telling you not to wear one. But once again, Greg Abbott has opened up everything 100%. Texas A&M University has been opened up to 100% no mask. But once again, if you choose to wear one, please do so. Nobody is stopping you. Do what you have to do if you just feel safer that way. Okay? Also, New York is open. New York will be open, I believe, either next week or they're already open now, or something like that. But New York will be open 100% again. California should be open either next month on June 5th, 100%. This is just some news I'm giving you guys if you guys not already know and stuff like that. But yes, I don't just only follow football. I follow real life stuff as well. But once again, Kyle Field will be rocking and rolling at 100% when the season starts, okay? Also, shout out to the Aggie softball team. I know I do not talk about all of these sports enough, but shout out to them. They are in the tournament, I believe. Shout out to the men's golf team for Texas A&M. They're also in a tournament, I believe. Once again, I do not keep up with all sports. I'm sorry. I do not keep up with all of it. I keep up with one specific sport, which is football, because that's something I love, okay? So do not get mad at me because of that, all right? Anywho, guys, in this latest edition of the Homemade Podcast of Sports, I'm just going to talk about what made me be a huge fan of Texas A&M football in general, and also just Texas A&M, the tradition and everything. This was something that one of you guys, which is other fans, asked me to do. So this is a very, very special episode, okay? On next week, we'll get back into some topics about some things and stuff like that. But on this latest edition, man, this is a all me episode. All right, this is the all me, what inspired me, stuff like that. So that being said, we will let that play. I'm going to keep that volume up just a little bit. So, do you all remember this guy? Do you guys remember what they say? First SEC touchdown. You guys remember him? That young man, Johnny Manziel. That's the guy that made me be a Texas A&M believer. Also, Coach Kevin Sumlin. I know he's fell out of the coaching ranks at this moment. I hope that he gets back in there, because he's a damn good coach. He was kind of way in over his head because of the expectations that Johnny Football laid upon the Texas A&M program in general, man. Uh, it's just his offensive coordinators kept leaving. They kept on leaving, and he just did not have an SEC defense. It turned into a Big 12 team after the third year, I believe. It turned into an all-out Big 12 team, and that just was not going to work inside of the SEC. Not in the SEC West, at least. But anywho, man, that's what made me fall in love with Texas A&M football. That's what made me fall in love with Texas A&M in general, man. And I just completely started doing huge amounts of research. But also, man, I watched Texas A&M back then. Don't get me wrong, I never watched full season back then. I saw a glimpse of it back in the 90s. And of course, that is when Ricky Williams was at Texas, stuff like that, man. That's when Longhorns were going so hard in the 90s, man. They were a team to beat. Of course, the rivalry was still there, so that was one of the most watched games on Thanksgiving Day, stuff like that. But like I said, man, I was so young and I didn't know what I was watching. I did not know what I was watching, man. But I remember those jerseys. I remember the colors. That's what's crazy about it. I had always been a huge Michigan Wolverine fan. That's why if you guys hear me when I talk sometime, I still talk about Michigan. I still watch Michigan. I still watch them. I've been watching those guys ever since I was a kid. I remember the helmets. I remember those helmets because they're the only ones in college football that has those helmets. They're the only ones. What I did not know that they were the most winningest football program. I did not know that back then, of course. And, of course, like I said, man, it was the 90s. It was the 90s. Michigan was still going. Ohio State was good, but they wasn't as good as they were now. All right. But anywho, man, let's get back to Texas A&M. But I fell in love with them. I had never been a Longhorn fan. It was for whatever reason, I never liked the Texas Longhorns. And that just grown on me. And when I got older, I still didn't like them. Of course, I remember that USC game with Vince Young and Matt Leinart, which is one of the best college football national championships games ever. One of the best ever. I still remember that game, man, but I was never a Longhorn fan. So, for the great state of Texas and for the love of the state in general that I have, I wanted to pick a Texas team. This was the team that I was going with. Especially when I saw Johnny Football put up that Heisman year. And I also caught Johnny Football. This is when I really caught him. Because I did not watch the 2012 year. I will be totally honest. I caught Johnny Football playing against Oklahoma in that Sugar Bowl. No, in that Cotton Bowl. He must have beat the brakes off of Oklahoma's ass that year. He beat the brakes off of them. You hear me? He put up, I believe, that was 42 points in that game. And at that time, that A&M defense was still good. That was the top 25 defense in that first year in the SEC. And they held Oklahoma. They held the high-flying Oklahoma team to only like 17 points, I believe. I think that score was like 42-17, if I'm not mistaken. Until this day, Oklahoma is still mad about that. And I know they are. They're still mad about that, and that's why they come forward Texas A&M the way they do. They're still upset about that. They do not like that shit. But that guy was so electric, man. And like I say, man, I just started looking up the tradition. I started seeing what certain things mean. I started looking up the actual song, the war hymn. I started looking up, okay, well, who was the most winningest coach? Was Darcy Slocum. I started looking up coaches in general, and then I seen where Paul Bear Bryant was actually one of the Texas A&M coaches at one point in time. For the Alabama fans that didn't know out there, yes, Paul Bear Bryant was an A&M coach at one time, but he was also a Kentucky coach. But due to certain circumstances that they would not give Paul Bear Bryant, he went on ahead and moved along to Alabama. That's when he made Alabama one of the premier programs in all of college football back in his coaching days in that year. But I started looking up other coaches, man. Like I say, R.C. Slocum was one of them. But before R.C. Slocum, it was the other guy, man. I cannot remember his name, but it was him. But it was no other coach that went way harder than what R.C. Slocum did. R.C. Slocum completely took the program and he ran with it. He turned it in. I'm sorry. He turned it into a 10-win program for at least like 5 years straight. 5 years straight, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I believe it was 5 years straight. But man, I just started looking that up. Just started looking at it. Conference titles. What conference was they in? That's when they was in the Southwest Conference when they had it. But now you look up, we're in the Southeastern Conference. That's crazy as hell to me. But then I just started looking at the SEC in general, and it just totally changed my entire mindset around, man. Now, fell in love with it. And to this day, and I'm truly in love with it. I'm one of the biggest A&M fans that you will know now. But I chose them also because what I saw in them and what I still see to this day now is that they're a sleeping giant. They're a sleeping giant. They were a sleeping giant during the R.C. Slocum days. For whatever reason, R.C. Slocum just could not bring home a national title. He couldn't. He got through the Big 12, but at that time, man, Oklahoma was rolling. Like I say, Texas was rolling. They used to put that man up against Notre Dame, teams like that nature. Virginia Tech was still rolling in those days. That was a pretty dominant era for college football in general, man. But they're a true sleeping giant. Now, of course, I went to how many national titles they have. A&M has 3 to Texas 4. So I still don't understand why the TCIP fans feel like the way that they do, because they're only 1 title ahead of us. That's so crazy to me, man. Y'all only have 4 titles to our 3. Now, of course, they have a couple of unclaimed national titles, but they're unclaimed. They're not claimed national titles. They're unclaimed. But they have 4 to our 3. That is totally crazy. I understand they got some of the best 10-win seasons out there, stuff like that. Have a whole lot of All-Americans, things of that nature. In the 900-win ball club, understand that. But that was never nothing that just excited me, man. I've always looked for something to build with. Like, I want to see a program excel. So I chose Texas A&M. I became a huge fan of them, man. I love Kyle Field. I fell in love with the Kyle Field swing along like that and stuff like that. And a lot of people think that Kyle Field is weird. A lot of people think Texas A&M is weird. It is what it is, man. And a lot of people feel that about a lot of fan bases. But Texas A&M is real with themselves, okay? So that's another thing I fell in love with. They're not arrogant. A lot of people, well, on the TCL fans, feel like A&M is arrogant for whatever reason. But they're not arrogant at all, man. And once again, man, I just fell in love with everything. I fell in love with everything. Then I saw this young man win Heisman. That was crazy to tell me, man. The first ever Texas A&M Heisman Trophy winner in over 50, 60 years or something like that. I think we only had 2 of them, and he was the second one. I honestly believe that it's a Heisman candidate on his Texas A&M roster now. I honestly believe that. But he almost won it 2 times. Almost won it 2 times. That is so crazy to me. But I fell in love with all of that, man. And Texas A&M, the more I watched them, the more they turned into a premier Texas program. So now that Jimbo Fisher's here, they're turned into a dominant premier Texas program, regardless to how you guys view them up against Alabama, or regardless to how anybody views them up against elite competition. He's getting kids in here. Ever since I've been a fan now I've witnessed Texas A&M get to a number 4 recruiting class. That's never been done before. I've witnessed Texas A&M now bring in consistent top 10 class. That's never been done before. I love building. I'm a builder. I love building. I love to see guys build things. Feel so bad for Kevin Sumlin because he wasn't able to build. But it is what it is, man. Changes had to be made, and that's just part of the business. So now they have a national championship coach, and he thinks like a national championship winner. And he's building. Like I say, man, I believe we all as A&M fans wanted to see Kevin Sumlin build something because it was going to be his first ever national title if he would have got there, or his first ever national title appearance as a head coach if he would have got there. It was just things fell apart. But now things are being restructured. The more I watch it, the more I stay a fan of him. But everything is awesome about Texas A&M. That's why I fell in love with him. If you guys can watch, that's that Cotton Bowl that I was talking about. Okay, yeah, it was. It was like, oh, I'm sorry, that score was like 49. Yeah, I think that score was like 49, probably like 49-13, something like that, man. But I really fell in love with that. I fell in love. But guys, that's all I have on this episode here. Giving you guys a glimpse of everything, man, into why I fell in love with Texas A&M. If you guys can, please hit that subscribe button at the bottom right corner, okay? Hit that subscribe button. Also, hit that reminder button, which is the bell for all of the latest notifications. But I love all of you guys, man. And if you guys have stories of why you guys fell in love with Texas A&M, please, man, leave all comments below. I want to hear them. Okay, I want to hear them. I love all of you guys. #GigMags.
And thank you guys for tuning in to the #Homemade Podcast Sports. Please, guys, subscribe to the YouTube page and also follow me on Twitter @JPops, on Instagram @JPops, and also on Facebook at #Homemade Podcast Sports. Thank you guys once again. #GigMags.